Hey everybody, this is Nico Colaleo, creator of Ollie Scoops, and this is the AMA video, the Ask Me Anything video. About a month ago, I reached out to all of you, the fans, and asked what are your questions for me and for the show and for the characters and all, whatever you want to ask. But real quick, before we get into that, say hi to Ripley, my kitten that I got adopted about 2 weeks ago. Now when people ask me, does the creator of Ollie Scoops have a cat? I can finally say yes. Let's get to your questions. The first one I think is a good one that a whole bunch of people asked, which was, how did I come up with Ollie Scoops? I'll tell you the story. So this is in 2014, so about, 6 years ago now. And I came up with the entire premise for Ollie Scoops in a 10-minute shower. Nickelodeon Animation was doing a shorts program, and they were specifically looking for two best friends. One needs to be pretty normal, the other one's the dumb one or the goofy one, the comic relief one. And if either of them are human, they have to be a kid. They basically wanted SpongeBob and Patrick. What are a couple of my favorite kind of characters in cartoons? Cute girls and funny animals. Okay, that's fine. I got the characters. What's the hook? There needs to be a hook. There needs to be something that's, interesting. It can't just be the two characters and that's it. And then I just suddenly thought, what if the little girl, Ollie, is the only human in the entire world that can talk to cats? Boom, there's the hook. And with that hook came a whole bunch of possibilities of learning about cats from Scoops, about their secret society that humans don't know about. All these can lead to open doors, open adventures, and that's pretty much, it was really quick coming up with it. I actually spent a few months working on the pitch Bible, designing the characters all myself, and pitched to Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Netflix. This is all still 2014, 2015. And then Too Loud happened, my DreamWorks cartoon, so I was focusing on that for a few years, put Ollie Scoops on the back burner, and then a year and a half ago or so, when Too Loud was all finished, I thought, I gotta work on something right now, otherwise I'll go nuts. So looked at some old pitches and I said, oh, hey, Ollie Scoops, sure, let's do that, let's make that, let's get back to that. And then we've been working on that since December 2018, so a little over a year now. The other question I got, easily the most, was how or why can Ollie understand cats? We're going to find this out as the series goes, so I can't quite answer that in full right now, but I can tell you that she was born with it. She knew that she could understand Scoops the day that she got him as a present for her 6th birthday. Cats are the only animal that she can understand, so she can't also understand dogs or squirrels or whatever. And as for if anyone else can understand cats, any other characters, we'll have to wait and find out. A few people asked all at once, how did Ollie Scoops meet? It's shown in episode 4 in the theme song, and also the episode entitled Warm Cream. Whenever that comes out, that's going to have an extensive flashback. That's also going to be a song called My Itty Bitty Kitty. And it's just going to be a musical sequence showing in detail the day that Ollie got Scoops for her 6th birthday as a present given to her by her mom and dad. But you'll see that in detail when that episode comes out. Another of the same question I got asked a lot was, what's the inspiration for Ollie Scoops? I think whenever you're creating something, the more inspiration you have and the more things you are inspired by, the better. And not just other cartoons. You need plenty of live action and movies influences. Take influences from everyday life, take influences from your friends, the world around you, your job, your hobbies, what part of the world you live in. I think having influences from your entire life can only help and be good when creating a show. As for me, what inspired Ollie and Scoops the most, old cartoons, Looney Tunes, Popeye, Betty Boop, old Disney cartoons, all the classic Disney movies, sketch comedy, mainly Kids in the Hall and Mr. Show and Monty Python. As far as other cartoon shows, Rocko's Modern Life is my favorite children's or all ages cartoon. I also love home movies with the Adult Swim show, home movies, Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy, South Park. Those are some really solid, and of course The Simpsons. Those are some really solid all ages cartoons, mainly adult, I guess. But in terms of other cartoons and movies, I mean, gosh, so much. What else has inspired me, Ripley? Stanley Kubrick movies, Wes Anderson, David Lynch, David Cronenberg are huge director inspirations for me. Hitchcock, Jim Henson and the Muppets are a big inspiration of mine. Fraggle Rock is one of my favorite shows also. I love how that show is, it is for little kids, but really can reach out to people of all ages, and the songs that they have. I think Fraggle Rock and like Calvin and Hobbes are two of the comic strip, are two of the really, really, really big inspirations for Ollie and Scoops. Just two best friends just going on adventures and having fun and enjoying life. Another question that I got asked quite a few times, what's Scoops' backstory in terms of his family or his parents? That is all stuff that will be explored. Can't quite talk about it just yet, but Scoops does have a family, and we'll be meeting them someday, I'm sure. Same kind of question asked a couple times. What about Ollie's parents? We've seen Ollie's parents in episode 4 in the extended theme song. I've shared their designs online on Twitter and stuff. They don't have any speaking roles yet, but they're definitely, we'll definitely see a lot of them in the episodes to come. A couple people asked me what's your favorite part about making the show. For me, the two best moments are at the very beginning of when I get an idea for an episode, and the story just finally clicks in my head. And then my second favorite part is when the episode is done and seeing people watch the episode and their face light up when a joke happens or when their favorite character shows up. Just seeing people's reaction to the show is a lot of my favorite part too. And the last question that a few people simultaneously asked were, are there any characters in the show based off of real life people? Not so much yet. Too Loud had a lot of characters that were based off of real people. I like putting my favorite directors in my shows as characters. I don't know why, because they're just really fun. So Ollie's principal is John Waters, basically, Principal Jim Liquids. Ollie has a classmate that's designed after my friend Ashlyn, and I think beyond that, there's no other characters that are inspired or stolen from real people I know. We're kind of leaning back on that in this show, since in Too Loud I did it a lot. Okay, so those were all the questions that multiple people asked. The rest are all just one-shot questions that one person asked, and I'm just gonna fly through them, and I'm gonna read them as I see them, and I'll answer the best I can. Who's your favorite character? Ollie and Scoops, it's a tie, mainly because both of them, Ollie is half of me and Scoops is the other half. If you combine Ollie and Scoops, it's pretty much makes Nico and my personality. They're the characters that I know best because I know myself pretty well. So they're the characters that are the closest to my heart out of everyone in the show. How long have you been animating? I can't animate. I don't animate, actually. I can draw and I get the character design started, but I have never animated. I've tried to in high school and college, and I just don't have the chops. If you can animate, you have my respect 100%, because it's a tough thing to learn. If you can animate well, as far as I'm concerned, you're a superhuman from another planet. Would you ever consider letting Ollie and Scoops become a theme park ride if Disney or Universal approached you? That'd be really weird and interesting. I'd be as interested as you are to see what an Ollie and Scoops theme park ride would look like. As to what type of ride, I can see it being a dark ride like the Disneyland Fantasyland rides like Alice in Wonderland or the Peter Pan ride. Yeah, I can see Ollie and Scoops being a dark ride. Does Scoops have claws? He's a cat. Yes, he does. Why did you pick this job and what led you to editing? I went to school for film, actually, film and video. I always loved animation, but I never thought that I always thought that I would be a filmmaker, and I am, but, get into the film industry. And then when I moved out to Los Angeles, I just happened to know more people in animation, so that's how I landed in the animation industry. I love editing. I've always loved video editing and editing for animation. Luckily, it's the same exact procedure, same program. Adobe Premiere is what I use. So for film and animation, editing is the same. So I landed as an animatic editor in animation, thankfully, because I already knew video editing. Why is a town for cats called Catlifornia? Because it's stupid. It's a dumb pun. It's just something silly for Scoops to reveal what the name of the town is. Is it only cat that Ollie understands, or can she talk to other animals? No, Ollie can only understand cats. What was your inspiration for Ollie and Scoops' character design? Scoops is pretty much just like your classic Looney Tunes, old Disney kind of design. Ollie is a very specific few things. Her glasses are the little boy's, I want to say Zachariah from the Grinch Halloween cartoon. I remember seeing that cartoon and loving how his glasses, the handles would stick out. Ollie's yellow top is Babs Bunny's top from Tiny Toon Adventures. Ollie's socks are very Japanese schoolgirl, like anime kind of style. And originally Ollie's design, she had a pin in her hair that is exactly like Tina's from Bob's Burgers. I think a few of the questions coming up are also this one, but do you ever plan to make this an actual cartoon on television? Now that we have, as of this recording, we have 6 finished episodes, I'd still be down to make this a Netflix show or perhaps on cable. There's pros and cons to both. The pro is for being on TV is that obviously the budget's bigger, so we can make it great and have a bigger crew and working Monday through Friday, and we can get a whole lot more done, a whole lot more episodes, and lengthwise. A con about being on TV is that I wouldn't own Ollie and Scoops anymore. The studio heads would own it, and they would probably censor a lot of jokes or steer the ship into places that I wouldn't necessarily love to go to. But at the end of the day, that's how it is when you sell a cartoon to a studio. It's you got to make them happy and keep you and your crew happy at the same time. And I like cats and dogs. I like cats a little bit more. Can there be a gay couple in Ollie and Scoops? Your wish is granted. The next episode involves a gay couple. And I think there's going to be more. I know one of Ollie's classmates is non-binary. As the show goes on, I definitely want to have as many characters as possible that represent people from all walks of life. What made you consider making cats as the main animal for your show? I just think cats are really cute and funny, and they're some of the best cartoon characters. So. Have you pitched this show to any networks before? Yes, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network in 2014 when I first created the characters, and then I pitched them to Netflix a few years ago, in like 2016, I think. All 3 times the networks really liked it, and they had no suggestions or changes at all. But ultimately, it was just bad timing, and their content, all their slots were full, and they just didn't have any room for it. But all 3 networks told me that if I wanted to in the future, I could come back and re-pitch. So, who knows? How many celebrities have you gotten to voice act for you? There's some that I can mention. There's some that I can't just yet. I just recorded with Kevin Conroy, who's Batman in the animated series. Also, James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd. James Urbaniak is Dr. Toodles. I love James. He's Dr. Venture in the Venture Brothers, which is like one of my favorite animated characters of all time. Mara Wilson, she's going to be the creepy girl that Ollie becomes friends with a couple episodes from now, and they're in a two-parter episode together. They're celebrities to me, Mike and Rich Evans from Red Letter Media, of course, as Brunk and Merle, and Mike is also going to be this guy, Terry Bumble, this really creepy guy that's coming up in a couple episodes. And then Dougie the Lab Cat, I just got confirmation that Dana Snyder will be voicing him. He's a Shake in Aqua Teen Hunger Force, so that'll be a real treat to record with him. Dougie the Lab Cat was almost voiced by Kevin McDonald from The Kids in the Hall, but at the last minute he got too busy, so we had to back out. But he said to hit him up for future characters, so I think Kevin McDonald could possibly be in the show soon too. Please provide the context of your profile picture. Oh, that was at WonderCon, and someone was walking around with like a real red Fraggle puppet, so I just asked to take a picture with her. What would you do to get better at art? Like to get into art school and the industry? Just draw every day, all day. Just practice, practice, practice. Draw as much as you can. Life drawing is just as important as drawing cartoony style. You can never stop learning. I'm 35 and I feel like I still am learning how to draw some days. But yeah, just draw as much as you can all the time. And as the years go on, all that hard work you'll see improvement. Will Carl ever have a chance to tell Ollie how he truly feels? Maybe. What is the thought process in making an episode? Do you start with a simple idea and build off of that, or do you already have a laid out storyline that the episodes help fulfill? Both depends on the episode. A couple episodes, actually the next one is a holdover, is a story from Too Loud that we never got to do. It's going to be like a fake dinner date kind of idea. So originally it was going to be for Too Loud. They passed on it and they said it was too adult of a situation. But for Ollie Scoops, I'm going to use it. But yeah, thought process for making an episode. A lot of the times I'll just look at stuff in my life, like, when I was 9 years old, what did I do? What was going on in school that week? The class pictures, or what's something that, someone Ollie's age would have to deal with, and how would that situation be made more fun or weirder or tougher, having a cat that you can talk to and understand, and they can talk back and give you some sass, or not be with you 100%. This is again a Too Loud episode, but I remember there's a mystery box episode of Too Loud where they're addicted to blind boxes, and that was just straight out of me taking a break at work and driving down to Toys R Us because I was addicted to collecting the Simpsons blind boxes, the Kid Robot ones. And then I was like, oh, let's have that happen in Too Loud. So some stuff is just directly lifted from what I happen to be doing that week, or or what I did as a kid. What's Ollie Scoops' favorite color? Scoops, I'm gonna say green. Ollie, I'm gonna say blue. How is this project being funded? Good question. It's definitely tougher without studio involvement to just grab this bull by the horns and keep it afloat, I guess. I think I just worked really hard for a few years, saved up a good amount of money, and was financially in a really good spot when we started making the show. And I have a day job at Netflix Animation, so in the meantime, my weekly paychecks also kind of go towards Ollie Scoops. To answer your question, it's just my funds, really. I'm kind of treating it as my own studio, and I have my own LLC, Nico Animation LLC, so So it's a legit business. Will Scoops have a love interest? Yes, there's an episode coming up called Bad Baby Boy, and we'll get to meet Scoops' crush. When is Ollie's birthday? Does she seem like a Pisces? I'm March 15th, but maybe Ollie could be like April 10th or something like that. I don't know, what do you think? How did Julia go bald? I think that she puts an enormous amount of pressure on herself to be the best and always be number one at everything. We're gonna find out in a few episodes from now that her mom is the main reason that Julia is always striving to be the best. And I think it's just the stress and all the work that goes into being the best student at Davis Elementary School. I think that's pretty much, you can put two and two together and realize why she's getting a little thin up on top. Will there ever be an episode in the future where Ollie and Scoops meet their doppelgangers? That kind of happened in the Student of the Month one, when Julia and Brunk were kind of like a fake Ollie and Scoops. I have no plans beyond that for them to have doppelgangers, but you never know. Why is my skin dry after a shower? You have to turn the faucet on so the water comes out. Don't feel bad. I didn't know at first either. Did you ever work at a big studio before working on Ollie and Scoops? Yes, I started in the industry 10 years ago at Titmouse. I worked there for 3 years, and then I worked at Nickelodeon for 2 years, and then Disney TV animation for 2 years. And for the past year, I am at Netflix animation. So yes, I've worked at many studios so far. Are you worried that YouTube may label Ollie and Scoops as for kids? I have control over in the settings if it's labeled for kids or not. So as long as I just keep that set to no, it should be fine. Yeah. What is Scoops' full name? I think in episode 5, Ollie scolds him and goes, Scoopleton P. Scoopsworth. So I guess that's his full name. The P probably stands for Prefontaine. Or party time. Isn't Ollie and Scoops banned from California forever? No. They, at the end of episode 3, they were like, everyone was throwing stuff at them and told them to get out. It changes all the time. The next day, all the cats, forgot about it. They're, Ollie and Scoops are, they're always going to keep going to California. Does Ollie like the accordion? She plays it at the end of every episode, so I would say yes. Can Lukey make a cameo in the series? Maybe as the school chef. He's in that first episode. He's the first character that we see in Ollie and Scoops. But he is also, there's actually a scene with him coming up in the episode of Vinny Video. It's one where Ollie and Scoops go to the video store. He's in that one. So you'll get a little Lukey soon. How did Scoops get his name? Ollie named him when she got him for her 6th birthday as a present. Are Ollie and Scoops a couple? Yes, a couple of friends. What would the show be like if dogs replaced cats? I think there'd be less conflict. I think all the dogs in Dog-California would just love Ollie. I think with cats there's more chances for conflict and stories. Is there any future conflict that will make the story go deeper into itself than it already has? Oh, yes, yeah. At the beginning of any show, the first few episodes are kind of world building and getting everything set up, so it can be a little slow at first. But once you get into the series itself, which is where we're approaching now, is the spot that I've been wanting to get to, is where we can definitely start getting a lot deeper, weirder, funnier. There's places that we're going to go that get pretty deep. Especially concerning how Ollie can talk to cats, and possibly if she might not be the only person in the world that can talk to cats. There might be one other person. Is Julia insecure? Deep down, I would say so, yeah. As you saw in the Student of the Month episode, if she's not the center of attention or winning at school at all times, You saw how she completely just lost her lost her mind. But yeah, we're gonna find out in a future episode when we meet Julia Goldberger's mom. We'll find out, thanks to her mom, why Julia is the way that she is. I must know this answer. Ollie or Scoops, what is your best joke? I know Scoops really likes the aristocrats joke. Look that up if you don't know what that is. Will Miss Bivens get an episode about her? Yes, the next episode, episode 7, will be called Tutor Suitor, and it's about Ollie helping Miss Bivens connect with her secret crush that she's too shy to approach. How do you go through the process of designing the characters for the show? Usually I'll have an idea for the character. Obviously, if I don't, it's all Natasha Weir, and she just designs from scratch. But half the time, I'll have a pretty good idea of what the character should look like, so I'll do a really loose, rough first draft design, and then Natasha will take that and actually draw it well and make it look good, and make it fit the style of the show, and create the character from there. And then for characters where I have absolutely no idea what direction we want to go, and I'll just tell Natasha, just go nuts and give me a few variations, and we'll look through and see what works and what doesn't. Principal Liquids and Dan Dipple, are they related in any way? They have a lot of similarities, like their ties and their color of teeth. Nope, they're not related, but I can see how they look similar. What would it be like if Ollie and Scoops switched places? I've actually thought about this, because so many shows have that episode where the main characters will swap places or switch identities, and I can't answer your question completely because I'm still figuring that out. It would be interesting. I just don't know exactly yet what would happen. I guess Ollie would be more of a troublemaker, and Scoops would be a little bit more in control, and we need some more episodes of their characters being developed more before we can do an episode where they switch places, I think. What would a gender-bent Ollie and Scoops look like? Anybody want to draw it? And we'll see. What do you need to do to make your own cartoons? Money, for one. No, not really, but you can make cartoons for no money at all. With money, you will get a much larger and loyal crew, that's for sure. But yeah, I'd say a budget and a talented crew are the most important things for making your own cartoon. If you have neither a budget or a crew, it is perfectly fine to also make a cartoon completely on your own. I used to do it. Some of the best cartoons I've seen online are made by just one person. So yeah, there's really not any correct answer for this question. Is there going to be a different person who can understand cats, or is Ollie the only human who can understand them? We will have to wait and find out. This person has a few questions. How long does it take to write an episode? A couple weeks, probably. Once I get in the idea, maybe it takes a day or two, and then writing it out will take, if I'm really, really, really into it, I can write a script in one day. But if I need some time to think about it and I'm having writer's block or having trouble, a week or two. When conceptualizing the show and the characters, who came first, Ollie or Scoops? I think both at the exact same time. I created the show knowing it would be a duo, so came up with them at the same time. Why'd you show the cartoon on YouTube? Because no studios were biting at the time, and YouTube's, in my opinion, the best way to get your work seen, because you instantly have a free platform that the entire world can watch, so that's a pretty good deal to me. Having worked with Disney, what did you have to get you a job there? I think, I was already an animatic editor at Nickelodeon, and so when my time at Nick was ending, I was just looking for work, and I think some friends at Disney recommended me, and I went over there. They was the inspiration for Julia Goldberger. I knew a kid in high school like Julia, to where loved school, and I was very much like, get me out of here, I hate this place. But for some reason, this student just loved school, loved being there. It seemed like they were in every single extracurricular activity and every club, part of the yearbook, and then it's really funny, to this day, this person also organizes the school reunions. So just to be someone who never went past high school and they never progressed past that, it's a little, but hey, who am I to judge? We all do what makes us happy. Would you ever see this on TV or prefer it on YouTube? I think this was another question, but there's pros and cons to both. With YouTube and me owning it and me having complete control, I can make the show whatever I want it to be. If a network is involved, I have to, bend my show to fit how they want it to be and kind of mold it into how they see fit. I don't have 100% control, but I would have a much larger crew and a much larger budget with a lot of schedule and time to make the episodes longer than 5 minutes and, come out with an entire season in 1 year, which would be, 26 episodes or whatever a season is. So yeah, there's good and bad parts to both. Are we going to see any more adults on the show? Yeah, we're going to see more of Ollie's parents. We're going to see Julia's mom soon. I think in one shot coming up, Carl and Stassi are brother and sister. I don't think that's been revealed yet, but you heard it here first. But I think in a joke shot, we're going to see Carl and Stassi's parents soon. Yeah, there's going to be more Miss Bivens. She's 29, so she's an adult. And yeah, we'll see more teachers in the school and more of the principal. Yeah, there's going to be plenty of adults coming. Was it Vivian's idea for the background artist to put Angel Dust Doll? No, that was me. Viv and I work on each other's projects, so it's always fun to put, a nod to each other's work in our own work. It's just something fun for us to do. Hey, it's a new day, and I realized last time I only got up to 47 questions, and there are 136 questions, so let's get right to it. But one other thing, here's Boogie Boy, that I just recently also got as a little companion to Ripley. So he's only 6 weeks old, but he's my little man. Okay, and back to the questions. How did Ollie feel when she met Scoops? Well, she completely fell in love, head over heels, instantly. They became best friends instantly. There's a few questions here. I've already answered the first one. Second one, what motivated you to make this show? That's just me, and if I'm not working on something, I kind of go nuts. So I sort of always am working or doing something creative. Otherwise, yeah, I just feel kind of empty, and I have stories to tell. Are you happy with the show? Absolutely. We're getting to a point in the series where that I've wanted to be at for quite some time, to where now a lot of the characters are established, bigger stories, larger in scope, weirder, funnier. So yeah, I am extremely happy with the show, and I'm going to be happy with a lot of the stuff that's being planned as well. Here's a big one. What is the future of Ollie and Scoops? That's a loaded question. Well, right now there's a pandemic. If there wasn't one, I would be pitching Ollie and Scoops, the 6 episodes that we do have, I would be pitching to Netflix, which is a company I also work for at the moment, so I feel like I would have a good advantage in pitching. Right now, nobody is seeing each other physically because of the pandemic and quarantining and all that, so that's putting a delay on pitching, but when it's over, the executives have agreed to meet with me and check out the episodes that are out now and go from there. Who knows, maybe Ollie and Scoops has a chance to be on Netflix someday. Fingers crossed. I think was Ollie's design meant to really look or resemble a cat lady's features. I'm not entirely sure what a cat lady looks like I think of like the Simpsons character, like the crazy old cat lady, but that's the only cat lady stereotype that I know of. But no, we never intended her design to look like a crazy old lady. I designed her just to be a quirky, nerdy 9-year-old girl, so that's just the design that we went with. A lot of people asking, how did Julia get bald? I think it's just all the pressure and her pushing herself to be the best at everything in school that just gets stressful to her, and it gets to the top of her head, I guess, and thins out her hair. Originally, I designed Julia to be like the mean girl of the show, but I wanted some kind of hook to her and wanted her to stand out and not just look like your average mean girl. I don't know how I came up with her having a really receding hairline and being practically bald, but that's just the way I initially drew her, and I just thought it was funny, and I kept it in. Hey Scoops, how do you deal with the dark stuff in your life? Also, Ollie, you're my inspiration. That's very sweet. There's not really any dark times with Scoops as long as he's with his best friend Ollie. They kind of need each other and complete each other. If they didn't have each other, Ollie and Scoops would definitely be very lost. And so it's very nice for them to have each other, because as long as they do, there really aren't any dark times beyond the wacky adventures and everyday conflicts that they have in the show. How old is Scoops? He was a kitten when Ollie got him for her 6th birthday, and she's 9 now, so I'm gonna say 2 or 3. Yeah, 2 or 3 years old. How am I doing? Hanging in there. It's quarantine and pandemic 2020 right now. So just been staying in, hanging out with my cats, working, keeping busy, working on the cartoon and Netflix day job work. Yeah, that's as much as we can do right now, is just hang in there and keep busy, keep occupied, keep positive. Why is Scoops named Scoops? When I was writing the show, I came across the very first script and actually outline for the episode 1, which is from 2014, and it was just called Ollie and Cat, and I didn't know the cat's name. And as I was writing the script, his name was originally Scoots with a T. Somewhere from finishing that first script, I replaced the T with a P, and it just flowed better, sounded better, and sounded funnier. So it's been Scoops ever since. Ollie's canon age, she is 9 years old. Can you put the word epic in an episode? That would be epic. Probably. I think the word epic gets overused a lot, kind of. There's always characters in shows saying, that's epic! I think it gets a little overused, but if it fits the scene and fits the character naturally, then at some point I'll probably use the word, sure. How did Ollie learn to play the accordion and how long? I'm not sure. Probably, she'd probably been playing the accordion for a couple years, and just, it's, something that kids do, is learn how to play an instrument. I liked Ollie playing the accordion because it was it's a little unique, and you don't really see kids too often playing accordion, so I thought it was a nice fit for Ollie, who is always kind of marching to the beat of her own drum and doing things her own way. What would future Ollie look like adult years? Anyone want to draw it? We'll see. I was thinking of her, I've thought of this actually, just like adult or future versions of Ollie and Scoops. I don't know, I see Ollie as being like, I don't know, a businesswoman, maybe a librarian. Something more interesting than that, though. I'd have to think about it. But yeah, I thought about it'd be interesting to see Ollie and Scoops and Julia being like in their 20s and I don't know, maybe college years. That'd be interesting. If someone wants to draw it up, go for it. Does Ollie like anyone, or does anyone like her? Ollie right now is just focusing on friendship with Scoops and just having fun and being a kid. So I don't think she has a crush on anyone. Carl, her classmate, definitely has a crush on her. after meeting her and getting to know her after the photo class photo shoot in episode 2. So, and that's going to keep ramping up throughout the series. I want it to be sort of a constant part of Carl's character, that he likes Ollie and he's always trying to get a word in and get her to notice him. Good question. How long do you plan on keeping this show going? Originally, I was going to just make 3 episodes and then take it around LA and pitch it to studios. But after the 3rd episode, I just had so many more scripts and so many more episode ideas that, and we were all just having so much fun making it, the animators and the board artists and all that I just said, let's just keep going, and just as long as we can just keep making it ourselves, why stop? So right now, as at the time of this recording, we're up to 6 episodes, and we have a 7th episode coming out hopefully in a month or 2. But I have 12 episodes written, scripts written, and I have at least 20 or 25 episode concepts figured out. New episodes and ideas come to me all the time, every day or every week. So we can definitely keep making Ollie and Scoops for a good while, picked up by a network or not. Who's older, Ollie or Scoops? Ollie is 9, Scoops is 2 or 3. I guess in human years, Scoops is what, like 14 to 18, maybe? So I guess like technically, personality-wise, maybe Scoops is older, but I don't know. They're both they both got qualities to them that are childlike and adult-like. We have 2 questions here. How did you decide on the voices as well as the crew and team you work with? A lot of the voice actors are just friends of mine that I just like putting in my cartoons. Like Kelsey Abbott, who was Sarah in Too Loud. She's Milky and Miss Bivens in Ollie and Scoops. I always had Kimmy Robertson in mind for Ollie, even 6 or 7 years ago when I first came up with the character. That's always just the voice that I heard. Luckily, I got to meet Kimmy a year or 2 ago, and she's been terrific as Ollie. I've known Eric Bauza since 2004. We've been friends for a long, long time, so he was always my pick for Scoops. Originally, a lot of friends thought that I should do Scoops, but I did Jeffrey in Too Loud, and I think that he would just come out sounding too much like Jeffrey. So I kind of wanted something different, and I wanted, honestly, a Jerry Nelson Gobo Fraggle from Fraggle Rock. Gobo's voice is always what I had in mind for Scoops.
This is great, Ollie. We're living the high life.
You're not just a silly creature. You're a you, aren't you?
I'm what?
A you, like me.
Nobody else finds her kind of a nut job?
And then when I found out that Eric Bauza could do a perfect Gobo Fraggle, I was like, okay, great, there's Scoops. As for Julia Goldberger, I worked on 9th Grade Ninja in 2011 and 2012, and Gray Griffin was in that show. She was this character called Flute Girl. I don't think she ever had a name. She was just Flute Girl. And when I was the animatic editor on that show, and just hearing Flute Girl, that just stuck with me. It was a funny voice. Years later, when it was time to cast Julia, I just thought, what kind of voice would she have? And I just thought of the Flute Girl. So I reached out to Gray. We had a couple friends in common that helped patch us in communication with each other. And so she's basically doing Flute Girl from 9th Grade Ninja for Julia. Another friend of mine, Rachel Rusikoff, she voices Carl in Ollie and Scoops. She also voiced Rachel in Too Loud, so there's another example of a friend of mine being used in more than one of my projects. Oh, another long-time friend of mine, Piotr Michael. Gosh, we've known each other for 15 years at least, but he's usually in all my stuff, all my projects too, but he voices Principal Liquids. He's an amazing impressionist and can voice like any person, dead-on imitation. And then a lot of the other cast are just, again, either me just being friends with them and knowing them and asking them to be in the show, or celebrities like Kevin Conroy or Mara Wilson guest starring in an episode. That's me just reaching out to them or their agents or managers and just asking if they would like to be in the show. When Ollie speaks cat, does she sound like she's meowing or is she speaking English? To everyone else, she is speaking English, but to everybody, they hear Scoops. He is just regular, normal cat meowing. Obviously, to her, he has Eric Bauza's voice speaking in English, but to everyone else, it kind of just sounds like Ollie is just talking to a cat with meowing as the response. And I'd like to add, a lot of people comment asking if this is all just in Ollie's head and Scoops does not actually speak English and Ollie's just crazy. That is false, not the case at all. Scoops actually can talk to her, and this is not just in Ollie's head and she's not crazy. This is all actually happening. Just wanted to get that out there. A lot of people think that Ollie is just nuts, and that's not the case. Is Julia inspired by JoJo Siwa? I've never heard of this person. Then I looked her up, and she does look, her hair at least, looks a lot like Julia Goldberger's. So it is just a coincidence. I've never heard of this person until I saw a whole bunch of comments over the last couple months. Okay, is it all Ollie's imagination? Okay, well, good thing that question just came up. No, it's not Ollie's imagination. It just answered this perfectly, so there you go. Whoa, okay, this is another question back to back of asking if Ollie is mentally ill or schizophrenic or imagining all this. Nope, she's not imagining this. It's all actually happening. Scoops is real. Scoops can actually converse with Ollie. It just looks like she's nuts to everybody else around her. Because it would be if you saw someone talking to their cat and going like, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they would seem kind of weird. But beyond that, yeah, Ollie's completely sane. How long does it take to complete a full episode? I'd say if it was all just back to back to back, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. Writing the script takes a week or two. Sometimes writing a script takes 1 day. Then scheduling the voice actors can usually take a couple weeks. Storyboards will take a few weeks at least. The animatic I can do an animatic in 1 day. Other times it'll take me a week or so to do an animatic. And then animation will always take 1 to 2 months. So I'd say on average 3 months for an episode. And a lot of the times it just seems quicker because as you're seeing episodes coming out every month or every 2 months, that's just because we've been working on them already for a while. But I just don't announce that episode until we're getting close to posting it. Few questions here. How many episodes do you intend to make? Right now, the sky's the limit. We're just going to keep making them as long as we can keep making them. And then, will there ever be a season 2? I'm not really doing seasons with this show because we're sort of just releasing them as they're finished. So if 2019 is a season, then I guess we had 5 episodes in season 1. And then 2020, so far we have 1 episode. But yeah, I kind of just look at them as episode numerical numbers than seasons. And will there ever be longer specials, perhaps a movie? I definitely have a couple ideas for a movie, but I don't think it's in our budget or time-wise. I don't know if I could commit to making something that big right now. But for longer specials or longer episodes, yeah, normally episodes will be 5 or 6 minutes. Everything that I've been writing lately is at least 11 minutes. Maybe even 15 minutes for a couple episodes coming up. So, yeah, it's sort of half and half. Sometimes they're 5 or 6 minutes, other times 11 minutes. And I don't think we'll go any longer than like 15 minutes, unless I just get a killer idea and it's really long or something like that. But we'll see. I can see a couple stories being big enough to be like a 20-minute, maybe even a 30-minute. But I kind of just tackle them as we approach each one. Favorite childhood cartoon? I grew up, I loved all the Warner Brothers cartoons, Tiny Toons, the 90s ones, like Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Freakazoid, Tasmania. I always watched those growing up. But I think my favorite kids cartoon is Rocko's Modern Life. That's just an amazing, fantastic show. And Ren and Stimpy is a good runner-up. Yeah, I'd say the Nicktoons and the really early Cartoon Network shows, Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls, I loved. Did I go to art school? No, I went to school for film. I was in Tucson, Arizona before I moved to LA. I did all college and education in Tucson. And yeah, I went to school for film and video. So, and animation was just something that I liked on the side, equally to film and video. We know there's a place called California where there'll be other places with other animals. No, it was always going to be cats, and California is obviously one city, but it would keep extending, and there would be valleys and beaches and oceans, also just with cats everywhere. Yeah, California isn't limited to just one big city. It keeps going, and I think there's going to be other sections, like the United States, how we have different states. So like the mayor of California, deeper into that world, there will be other cities with other cat mayors. Yeah, so it's, it's global. There's cats all over the world. So every part of the world has their own California. Do they have a secret enemy? I'm not quite sure what you mean, but there are going to be more antagonists coming up in Ollie and Scoops besides just Julia. And I always thought that if there was an Ollie and Scoops movie, there would be a brand new villain. The villain would not be Julia, because she's, I don't think Julia's threatening enough. There would definitely be a bigger threat and a bigger villain, movie-wise anyway. I'd say Dr. Toodles is probably Ollie and Scoops' biggest threat at the moment. Will you do a Spanish version? I have Spanish subtitles, and then a few people in Mexico have offered to dub and make Spanish versions of the episodes. So far they've done 3 episodes, because I've seen episode 1 completely all with Spanish voice acting. So hopefully they contact me soon and ask to do the rest of the series. Another question about Ollie's parents. Don't worry, all in due time you'll see more of them. Just give it time, and there will definitely be more content with the parents coming up. What was it like working with Kevin Conroy? It was half really fun and half really nervous. He's just such a presence and such a seasoned voice actor and a total total professional. So it was really cool going through the script and him laughing at a lot of his lines. It feels good when someone like that likes what you wrote and laughs at something that you wrote. It feels pretty good. Do you like animating Ollie and Scoops? I don't animate on the show, but I imagine my animators are having a good time because they keep working on it, and they always tell me that they really love working on the show and they enjoy it. Is Ollie gay? Ollie gay? Mr. Nut 669 asked it twice. A couple of these questions have already been answered, but 2 of them haven't. Are the principal and the teacher a couple? No, they're not. The next episode, you will see who Miss Bivens' crush is, and you might be surprised. And where does Milky's milk come from? Well, her name is Milky.
Thanks, Milky.
Any chance to share my milk with the world?
Who is Ollie's voice actor? Kimmy Robertson. She is fantastic, and I love her to death. Best known as Lucy in Twin Peaks, which is my favorite TV show of all time. So I feel super lucky and super fortunate to have her voicing Ollie. How do you have such amazing voice actors on Ollie and Scoops? Just friends of mine or celebrities that I ask? Just friends of mine or special guests that I ask to be in the show. Thank you. Thank you for liking the voice cast. I really love them too. Do you plan to make Ollie and Scoops a Netflix series? As I mentioned, As soon as this pandemic is done, I can actually pitch to Netflix, so we'll see what happens. Are there other people that can talk to animals? As of right now, no, just Ollie talks to cats and that's it. You never know where the series might go, but as of right now, it's just Ollie talking to cats and nobody else can talk to animals. What time period does the show take place in? I like that question. I kind of like just having it be up in the air and you don't really know, because it could easily take place in the 80s or 90s, but we've also seen kids with iPhones. I honestly think that the show takes place in present day, but I just like having lots of aspects of their environment and how they look being 80s or 90s. I don't really know if that makes sense, but I like combining time periods, and no matter when you watch this show, it can feel like it's present day. Question for Ollie: how do your glasses stay up when they're nowhere near your ears? Cartoon logic. Was any of the art style an inspiration from Ren and Stimpy? A bit. I try to have the characters and the design and the whole look of the show be inspired by a lot of different things. It's not just Ren and Stimpy. I mentioned what my inspirations were at the beginning of the video, but Ren and Stimpy was definitely something I watched and grew up with. So there's influence in there, totally. Will we ever get episodes focused on Ollie and Scoops' home life? Totally, yeah. What makes this show extra fun to me is you can have episodes that are Ollie's home life, school life, California life, and have like 3 different settings that the show can have. And we can have some episodes be Ollie at home, have some other episodes being Ollie at school. I like that you never know what setting in an episode that you might get. It just makes it more fun and gives the show variety. Why cats? Out of all the animal sidekicks, why stick with cats? I just think cats make the best animal cartoon characters. That's just my opinion. There's a lot of them, obviously. There's a lot of dog cartoon characters and rabbits and ducks and stuff like that. But I just really like cats, and I think they're funny, and I just think that they fit the show well. Will Uncle Phoebus come back? Yeah, even if you've seen a character just once, odds are I have a plan to bring them back at some point. There is an episode called Nip Fest that's pretty far down the line, but I have a good idea for it. Where Ollie and Scoops go to, and it's sort of inspired by our trip to Germany, me and my friends going to Oktoberfest. But it's going to be basically a California version of Oktoberfest, but with catnip, and it's treated sort of like whiskey or wine, where each catnip has like a different, like, oh yes, this one is nice and oaky and oh, very woody, yes. And then Scoops tries another one. Oh yeah, oh the finish is very So Scoops' uncle Phoebus has a good role in that one because he runs one of the booths, and they end up helping him out with his booth. Scoops, what's your favorite food? He'll be totally fine with your average run-of-the-mill cat food, but he really loves human food, especially pizza. I think that him eating and just liking human food is just funnier than cat food. Oh, there's an episode coming up where Grandma Millie's chicken tiddlers are one of his favorite snacks. Baby Ollie and Scoops? Here you go. What are some episode ideas you wanted to do but got scrapped or reworked? One episode that is scrapped. It was just me looking ahead and figuring out more episode ideas, and having one episode idea being about Julia and Ollie getting in a competition to see how many likes they could get on Instagram, and that one is scrapped because I feel like there's no way to make that entertaining, doing ridiculous photos on Instagram and trying to get more likes. No matter how me and a couple friends who were helping write it tried different routes and stuff, and each one just wasn't working. So that's one that got scrapped. The next episode coming out, episode 7, called Tutor Suitor, that one you'll see when it comes out, but that one is an old Too Loud episode idea that was rejected by DreamWorks, and I'm using that and repurposing it for an Ollie Scoops episode, and I think it works better in this show. And another episode idea or concept that has been scrapped, I had the same problem on Too Loud and Ollie Scoops. An episode where Ollie and Scoops have a band, or it's a battle of the bands, or it's Ollie and Scoops teaming up and getting bandmates and doing like a rock concert competition, something like that. But that's been done in so many shows, and I was racking my brain to find out a new way to tell that story, and after 3 years, I can't think of a new way to tell that story. Too Loud also was like Jeffrey and Sarah and Molly and Rachel having their own band and going up against another band with like Logan or something like that. But Ollie Scoops also is like, I just can't think of any way to tell that story that hasn't been done already. The closest I've ever gotten was having this Battle of the Bands episode idea play, but what someone else like Carl or Milky or someone is documenting the whole thing, and the episode is more about the documentation of it, kind of like Spinal Tap. So maybe in a sense that could work, but I don't know, we'll see. I'll still keep trying to make some kind of Battle of the Bands episode work. Why are Scoops and Ollie so cute? Years of practice. Are you thinking about selling Ollie and Scoops teddies? Yeah, we have plushes in the works. I've been seeing works in progress over the last month or two, and just giving notes on how to make them perfect and on model and everything. So they should be ready in the next month or two, hopefully maybe by May or June. So that'd be really fun to have. I think we're going to have a run of like 200, see how they do, and then maybe have more after that. We'll see. Was Ollie born with the ability to understand cats, or did she learn? I think it'd be kind of interesting to explore that. I think she understood Scoops right away, but that'd be kind of fun to have like a first couple days where she's learning to understand him, or maybe things don't go quite as smoothly right off the bat, and maybe it's like a superhero learning how to use their powers. That could be fun. Is there any chances of a Weird Al guest spot? He's the only person so far that has declined to be in the show, so sadly, no. A few questions here. I'll try to answer quickly so this video isn't too long. What inspires the story of the episodes? How do you come up with them? Again, either just thinking about what stuff I did when I was 9 years old, or what things were happening in school, or a story can inspire just from inside jokes with friends, or just thinking of the characters and their dynamic, and then thinking, what would it be like if so-and-so was paired up with so-and-so at this place, and what would happen? So like, you know, there could probably be a whole episode of just Ollie and Scoops and Julia go to the movie theater, and, you know, then it kind of writes itself. I feel like the characters are strong enough to where you can put them in any situation and an episode can come out of it. I mentioned I had a Too Loud episode all about mystery boxes and blind boxes, and that strictly came up from me being addicted to the blind boxes for a couple months. And then I also mentioned the Nip Fest Ollie and Scoop episode that's gonna just be inspired by our trip to Oktoberfest in Germany. So really, inspiration comes from all over the place. Personal experiences, stuff with friends, outings and going places. Yeah, inspiration comes from everywhere. Also, will the show have an overarching story? I've seen some hints of one. I want the show to be where you can open up any episode and it's fine for that one to be your first episode and you can tell what's going on and understand what's happening. But I do want an overarching story happening throughout the series, to where we learn more about Ollie's ability to talk to cats, maybe explore why she has it, or if there are other people who might have it, and definitely learning more about Catlifornia and that whole location and what kinds of other characters and places there are in making up that city. And I definitely want Ollie and Julia's relationship to kind of change as the show goes on. Far into the show, I want Ollie and Julia eventually to actually start to become friends, and Julia doesn't know how to handle it because she's never really had a friend. So one episode she's gonna like Ollie and take it way too far because she doesn't know how to be a normal friend. So yeah, their friendship and antagonistic friendship is gonna kind of come in and out and be explored a lot. I think that the show's going to have a lot of overarching plots and storylines, while having just your normal story that you can open up any episode and start there and not have to have seen, a lot of episodes previous to understand what's going on. And what would be your advice for beginning animators, artists, and story writers? I think the best advice I've ever heard is just to make stuff. It doesn't matter if it's for $5 or $5,000. The best way to learn animation or to be a better writer or to be a better artist is just to make stuff and do it. Make 1,000 crappy things and you'll make one good thing. And then make another 1,000 crappy things. And just, I look back at, I had a public access show in Tucson in the early 2000s. Me, my brother, and my friends, and the show mostly is pretty crappy, but it's thanks to that I learned how to frame shots and write and edit and act, I guess. I acted in it too, so if it wasn't for that show, I wouldn't have nearly as much experience, and experience equals learning and honing your craft and being better at that thing. So whether you have money or not, just make stuff, make tons and tons of stuff, and you'll find your voice and you'll find what works for you. What breed of cat is Scoops? He's either domestic short hair or he's a Russian blue, just because of his color. I'm leaning more towards domestic short hair just because that's sort of like pretty general, and I kind of want him to be a pretty general cat. Hopefully that's not too boring of an answer. Do you think you might try to pitch this show to Nickelodeon? I already have a few years ago. They invited me to, even though it wasn't what they were looking for at the time, they still liked it, and they said that I could come back and pitch anytime. So who knows? I might go for it again. We'll see. Are there any other cartoons you are making in early stages of development? Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff in development. I just need the time to make them all. I don't really want to talk about them too much, but I have preschool show ideas, general kid show, I have adult show ideas. There's only so much I can share or talk about because it's so early on and there's not really any artwork or content to share. But I have quite a few irons in the fire. Actually, one thing I might be able to mention is I have a good idea for a Molly and Rachel Too Loud spinoff, where it would be starring Molly and Rachel, and it's sort of like not Scooby-Doo, but it's sort of like a ghost hunting, paranormal investigators sort of show. I think that'd be super fun. I have another concept in development that's about a video store and the two kids that work there and that whole world. Lots of stuff. Hopefully there can be a time where I can work on Ollie and Scoops while also chipping away at these other things. How much does it cost one episode to make? I'm going to say $10,000 for an episode. It's usually $1,000 or $2,000 for the storyboard, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 for the voice actors or the recording booth rental, and then I usually have 5 to 8 animators that get $1,000 to $2,000 per episode. It depends on the length of the episode. But yeah, I'd say general ballpark $10,000 an episode. This question is asking about Grey Griffin and her involvement with the show. I've worked on shows that have her voice in it. So I always saw her walking down the halls at Nickelodeon. We would always pass each other. So over the years, we've kind of recognized each other and would just say hello. And I think it was at the Star versus the Forces of Evil rap party that I approached her and I just said like, hey, would you ever want to do a voice for one of my projects? I have a perfect character that I think you could be great for. And she said sure, and we just got in contact, and I think, yeah, I agree. I think she's perfect as Julia, and there could be nobody else could do the great job that she does. Is Ollie just imagining everything that happened? No. No, she's not imagining all this. It's real. I swear to God, it's real. Did Ollie always go to school with Julia? Did they go to preschool together? That's a good idea. They live in the same county, so I imagine that they're in the same grade, and they probably went to preschool together. That'd be a really fun idea to check out. Of course, there would be no Scoops yet, so it would just be baby Ollie and baby Julia duking it out. But that could be fun too. How did you get Mr. Plunkett to do a guest voice? Well, Rich Evans was in Too Loud, my DreamWorks show, and Mike Stoklasa actually wrote to me after the episodes came out, and he said, hey, I saw you got Rich in your cartoon. Can I be in one of your cartoons? Because I love voice acting. And I was like, of course, yeah, you can. So he's made trips out here specifically for voicing in Ollie Scoops. Super cool of him. Awesome guy. I love working with Mike. So funny. He's just like the funniest guy. I'd love for Rich and Mike are in Ollie Scoops, but I would also love for Jack and Jay and the rest of the RLM crew eventually to all be voices in the show. I think that'd be really cool. I find it super cute that Ollie and Scoops get along so well and actually love each other. I think that's what I love the most in the show. I wanted to let you know. Thank you. I really noticed this working on so many shows over the last 10 years that it really makes a difference when you have your characters. I don't want this to sound weird, but it really makes a difference when you have your characters touching each other, hugging, if they're in a relationship, kissing, romantic. It makes such a difference to the viewer. And I really learned this working on Pig Goat Banana Cricket at Nickelodeon. Not the best received show, but we noticed that viewers instantly perked up and liked it whenever they would be together and they would all like group hug or group high five or something like that. So I agree with you completely. When two characters or however many characters are a lot more physical and really show that friendship or that relationship by hugging or high-fiving or just making contact, it really boosts the emotion in the show, and it really shows you how much the characters love each other. I think that's super important to have, and a lot of shows might not have enough of. But with this show, Ollie Scoops, and then my DreamWorks show, Too Loud, Jeffrey and Sarah were the two main characters, their brother and sister, and they just love each other to death. They're best friends and brother and sister, and they were always hugging, and it just made the show that much cuter and that much more appealing. Does Scoops eat with spoons? Sure. He eats with utensils, and then other times he won't use utensils at all, and he'll just, like Garfield style, he'll just like have the bowl and just like scoop it up into his face. Yeah. Any plans for this cartoon to go on TV? That's been asked a couple times, but yeah, I'm still game for pitching the show as soon as quarantine and all that ends. I'd be happy with it going on TV, but I'm also perfectly content with keeping things the way they are now and having it be on YouTube. Has Ollie ever taken her glasses off? I don't think so, not yet in the show. But if she does, I don't think she'll have dot eyes. She'll have eyes like Scoops. Yeah. How did Scoops get his name? I'm not sure if you're asking how I named him or in the show, Ollie named him when she got him as a pet. But yeah, I've mentioned how I named him too. His name was Scoots originally with a T, and I eventually, during the writing of the first episode, I just changed it to Scoops because it sounded funnier. Have you thought about the whole story of Ollie and Scoops yet, or do you have a basic idea that you're improvising along the way? I have a basic idea and just improvising along the way. There's a couple things that are that I've thought of for like the whole story. Like I can't really talk about it, but I definitely have some things in mind for like Ollie and Julia's relationship and how that might evolve and change over the show. Definitely have an idea for Ollie and Carl, their relationship to evolve over the show. Yeah, a lot of Ollie's relationship with other characters. I have a lot of plans for how those evolve over the series. But at the same time, yeah, I am improvising a lot of it too along the way, and just going episode by episode and seeing what works. I like to have a variety, as I mentioned before, of an episode will be Ollie's home life, some episodes will be at school, some episodes will be California, and I never want there to be too many like Ollie's home life episodes in a row. I want it to be, keep circulating and give a variety of episodes so the show never gets stale or boring. This is a really specific question, but I love it. Have you ever watched Fraggle Rock? Yeah, it's one of the main inspirations for this show. It's for little kids, but I think no matter what age, you can gain an appreciation and a love for this show. It's also best friends, and everyone is just super adorable, and they all learn really good lessons, and all the songs are really cool. Yeah, it's right up Ollie and Scoops' alley. Ollie is 9 years old. Does Scoops ever get along with dogs? You'll see in an episode called Vinny Video. It's where Ollie and Scoops go to a video store, and that's coming up in the next 2 or 3 episodes. Yeah, you'll see Scoops' first encounter with a dog and how he feels about it and what happens when they get together. We're getting towards the end, so there's some duplicate questions here. Why was Goldberger designed to look bald? Just because she pushes herself so hard to be the best and to be number one. To Ollie, I love your hair. How do you get it to do that? Cartoon logic. Is Dr. Toodles going to have a role in any future episodes? Yes, he will. Not anytime super soon, but I definitely have an idea for him and those Frankenstein hands that he is now wearing. I want to get into animation. Have any tips on developing a cartoon? Create characters that you would want to hang out with and you would want to see more of. That's the best advice I can give for creating actual characters, is just put yourself in them, put a lot of yourself. Even if they're mean or jerks or whatever, still make them fun and interesting, and make these characters people that the audience, and especially yourself, would want to see more of and hang out or watch more of. Once you have characters in a setting for the show, a general idea, make sure to always have a hook. Obviously, it's Ollie and Scoops, a girl and a cat. The hook is that Ollie can understand cats. Having an interesting setting, like it doesn't have to just be a house in a neighborhood, although a lot of shows do have that and make it work. But yeah, having the show take place in a interesting location. Like I'm on Craig McCracken's next project, Kid Cosmic, at Netflix, and the show's setting is the Southwest desert, like around Roswell and like New Mexico and Arizona. And a lot of cartoons don't really take place in a place like that, so I think that's really unique and interesting. And I think above all else, when developing a cartoon, is don't do it for other people and what you think they'll like. Create something for yourself, and create something that stuff that makes you laugh, or something that interests you, and make it for yourself first, and the audience will come. Does Scoops die in the end? No. Why do you use Mac computers? I feel like Mac computers is just better in terms of video processing and rendering, editing in Premiere or After Effects or stuff like that. I think Macs are just better built for stuff like that. Not to harp on PC, but it's just the truth. I think Macs are just better equipped for what I'm doing, which in particular is just making a cartoon. I have to know, how do you get the help for your series? How do you even get animators? I must know. Well, I will tell you, half the time it's just friends of mine who we've worked on each other's projects and we like to work on each other's stuff, and they're happy to work on my show. And the other half are those people recommending artists to me, or a lot of the time I'll just go on Twitter and just put a big call out saying like, hey, I'm looking for, a few storyboard artists, or hey, I'm looking for a new animator. Please send me your reels, and I'll just look through all the comments and all their reels, and it's super tough because there's so many of them, and a lot of them are really good. But I only have 1 or 2 slots to fill, so it's it can be tough in that regard to pick just 1 or 2 person out of like 50 submissions. But either just already friends with that said person, or just asking around and getting recommendations. That's pretty much how I get crewed up with my crew. Are you going to make a backstory of some of the characters? Yeah. As the show goes on, there will be. I think almost everybody you're gonna learn a lot about them, or at least there will be an episode revolving around said person. We just had a Poopsie and Rudy episode. I want to have eventually have short episodes of all the side character cats that might not necessarily even feature Ollie and Scoops. But I actually have an idea coming up that is Ollie and Scoops aren't in it, and it's starring Carl and Stassi, the babysitter, because they're Carl's the little brother and Stassi's his older sister. But there's an episode coming up that's just Carl and Stassi, and I'm really looking forward to that one because we have some pretty special voice actors in it too. Ever wonder of launching your project on Netflix? Gotta pitch to them first, and that's after this quarantine stuff is all finished. But yeah, pitching to Netflix is definitely something I want to do. Will there be a point in the series that someone finds out about the underground cat world other than Ollie? I think so, but we'll just have to wait. How did Ollie's mom get Scoops? She went to an animal shelter and adopted him. Ollie's mom, there's actually going to be an episode that features her, that she's really, she loves adopting animals, and she's a big proponent for animal rights, and she's a real environmentalist. So I do have an idea for a future episode where she's kind of addicted to adopting cats and giving them a better home, and she adopts 2 more cats for the family. It happens to be Brunk and Merle, and Ollie and Scoops. Ollie's mom, of course, doesn't know Brunk and Merle, but Ollie and Scoops do, and they know that they're nothing but trouble. So there's an episode where Brunk and Merle are gonna be Ollie and Scoops' roommates, and calamity ensues. Who's the most hardworking animator and musician on your crew? It's like saying which of your kids you love the most. I think everybody works super hard and everybody does a great job. And I really can't say, who does the best job or who I think is the hardest worker. They're all terrific. How do I animate? I'm not an animator, so I can't help you much, but maybe ask other animators, reach out on Twitter, or there's plenty of animators you could ask for help. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you. And this is the final question I got for the AMA video. I know this might be obvious, but why is Milky named Milky? Is it their real name? Her real name is Milky, and she is named that because she loves milk and she loves sharing with the world her milk. And that's all I can say about that at this time. Thank you all so much for submitting your question to this AMA video. That was 193 questions total. So thank you all so much, and this was super fun. Maybe we can do it again sometime. Please keep tuning in and smash that subscribe button, like this video, whatever you'd like, no problem. And we'll be back soon with episode 7 and many more episodes of Ollie and Scoops to come. Thanks a lot, and take care.